Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world for technology startups. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, we do these free public roundtables week after week after week. This is the 566th episode, and every single recording is available on our YouTube channel, 1M1M Roundtable. On Twitter, we're on 1Mby1M and @Romana, and the hashtag for today's session is 1M1M. These are the call-in numbers. It is a roundtable, not a broadcast, so we want you to participate. For the beginning of the session, we have scheduled programming, and during that time, you can interact through the public chat or the Q&A, and then I will open up the line for actually dialing in or communicating through your computer audio. We are going to start today's session with a conversation with Julie Lein, Managing Partner at Urban Innovation Fund. Julie, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great to meet you. Let's get you introduced to our audience, as well as let's get acquainted. A bit of background about yourself as well as Urban Innovation Fund.
Sure. So I'm the co-founder and managing partner of the Urban Innovation Fund. We are a venture capital firm that invests in startups shaping the future of cities. We invest across a variety of verticals, what you might consider more traditional smart city sectors like transportation, energy, prop tech, but we also like to think more expansively around the livability and economic vitality of cities. So we end up investing in areas like the future of work and fintech. All of our investing is done at the very early stage, pre-seed and seed. We're typically leading, co-leading, or at least a very substantive syndicate partner for those early rounds. And we like to emphasize that we're very active, hands-on investors. And we do place a special emphasis on regulatory support since we've seen it be an area of need.
Great. And what is your background?
Yeah, so I actually come from a background in political polling and consulting. And so I ended up going back to business school at MIT Sloan. And that was where I was lucky enough to meet my co-founder, Clara. She and I both ended up working for startups that we would now characterize as urban innovation startups. And that really gave us the impetus to launch an accelerator program when we first graduated from MIT that was really focused on supporting, mentoring, and providing regulatory guidance to urban tech startups. And after doing that for a number of years, we launched the Urban Innovation Fund in 2016. And so we have been investing together and leading and co-leading these pre-seed and seed rounds for the last 7 years.
Very good. I always have a big smile on my face when I meet a fellow MIT alum on these sessions. Yeah. It's always great to see that ecosystem evolve and grow and make impact. Julie, how big is your fund? How big is the Urban Innovation Fund?
We're currently investing out of a $44 million fund, and we are looking to invest in about 10 companies each year. Our average check size is around $1 million, but we can go up or down depending on the size of the round and the needs of the entrepreneur.
What is the lowest fund size, check size that you write?
The lowest check that we've written in the fund has been about $300K, and that was with a pre-seed round. So we are open to being flexible around the round construction. But frankly, what we've seen in today's market is that many entrepreneurs are looking to raise more. Pre-seed rounds have now gotten bigger. Seed rounds have certainly gotten bigger. And so we are happy to flex our check size accordingly to the needs of the startup and the entrepreneur.
So talk to me about your definition of pre-seed and seed. So if you're doing a pre-seed investment, what do you want to see in the deal to feel comfortable writing a check?
Yeah, I think when most people talk about their criteria for investment, the kind of three levers folks really discuss are one, team, two, product, and three, market. And everyone kind of has their own, I would say, rank order about which one is most important, how they evaluate each of the criteria. I think at the pre-seed, what we're really looking for is one around that team. And I think a lot of times people ask, what does that mean around team? Do you need issue area experts? Do you need, what does that actually look like? And what we're looking for is an entrepreneur who, sees a problem in their community and in their kind of everyday life, and they're almost maniacally driven to tackle that problem. And
Mm-hmm.
what we really want to see is execution. So you may not have a fully fledged product yet, you may not have everything figured out, but you're doing things to really attract attention. You're doing things to kind of move the product, move the customer feedback forward. And I think that's what we get really impressed and excited about at pre-seed. When we say what is the definition of a pre-seed round, um, I think that that has changed nowadays, but it's typically that first round of funding where you're raising, typically less than 2 million for your initial round is what we tend to look at. And so I would say, in our order of criteria, one is around the team and just showing that ability to execute and bring a concept from, nothing to life. Two, we do look at the market and the market opportunity, and we want markets where you can have a pathway to having $1 billion or a $10 billion type exit and beyond. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and investors really want to see that. And then the third thing we look at is product. I will say we do product demos for if they're available for all of our companies. At the pre-seed, they tend to be very raw, and that's okay. You don't need the perfect, fully fledged working product, but what we want to see is that there's some folks that are starting to use it. If you can get them to pay for it, great, but that's typically not necessary at the pre-seed. And really, we're trying to kind of angle for is, getting an understanding that the team, the market, and the product can all line up, that with additional capital, you can really grow to be a massive $1 billion plus, $10 billion plus type business.
So even in a pre-seed round, you are looking for customer engagement, even with a very early raw product, but you want to see customer engagement with that product.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to put it, which is customer engagement, that they're not necessarily paying for it, but you're at least getting
Right.
customer feedback. And I think that's when we get excited. And I can give an example, of a pre-seed round we did recently where, basically the startup, it was their first round of funding. They wanted to raise 500K in kind of their initial pre-seed. They ended up raising more. But they had a working product and they had three kind of pilot customers. They weren't paying at all, but they were giving a ton of feedback. And so I talked to
Mm-hmm.
those customers and they just raved about the product. They raved about the fact that they, started with a small pilot in one of their locations and they wanted to expand it. And it was actually the enthusiasm of those customer references that got us extremely excited about writing that early check. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a really great validator for startups at an early stage where they don't have to be paying, they don't have to be, they don't have to be writing these massive six-figure contracts, but you want customer engagement and feedback in a way that shows you understand your customer, you understand their pain point, and you're building a solution that will ultimately solve it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Um, and what about geography? Where do you invest?
So we are based in the San Francisco Bay Area. We do invest across the US and North America more broadly. So we have companies in Canada and Mexico. We're starting to be a little bit more opportunistic about international opportunities as well. So we've recently invested in folks in Europe. Um, we've looked at Israel. We've looked at folks in Asia and India. I think that, now with our Zoom world, it's becoming easier and easier to have
Okay.
meetings. It's just for an investor like us, where we do have a relatively more concentrated, pre-seed and seed portfolio, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But I think we want to be opportunistic and open-minded for all the best early stage urban innovation startups.
Very good. So now let's do some case studies of companies that you have invested in that you're really passionate about. I imagine you're passionate about everything that you're invested in, but just pick a few. And as you talk through them, talk about what they're doing, what is the value proposition, and also talk about at what stage and in what condition did you encounter this company and how, and what was it about that situation that made you write your check?
Yeah, absolutely. So an example I can give was our first investment out of our current fund was in December 2019, which feels like forever ago, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Uh, and Essentially, the company is called Electrified, and they are a software solution to manage the transition for fleet owners to electric vehicles. And this is an
Mm-hmm.
area that we've been passionate about for a long time. We really deeply believe that electrification of vehicles was coming, and it was coming more quickly than people kind of recognized. Um, and we were introduced to this team, Mufi and Sanjay, through an early advisor, an angel investor in the company. And she had said, you've got to talk to Electrify. What they're doing is really interesting and compelling. And so I first met the team, and I was really blown away by their experience. So they had really strong kind of tech credentials. They had both worked at big companies and then startups like Amazon and ChargePoint. So they had both the technical experience as well as the energy specific experience. And what got us really excited was candidly the market opportunity, because again, we did think that electrification was going to come more quickly than people realized. We saw, some of the regulatory tailwinds coming from Europe and California, and so we recognized that there was really a lot of momentum in this space. And what impressed us about the Electrify approach was candidly the way that Mufi and Sanjay went about building their product. It was a software only asset light product in a space where a lot of folks were developing very expensive and capital intensive hardware. They were hardware agnostic, so they could work with a variety of operators and OEMs and a variety of kind of hardware developers, which was really exciting for us. And to the point around, kind of customer validation, we did a customer reference with one of their initial customers. They were the largest electric school bus fleet in the US at the time and still are. And they just raved about the Electrify early product experience. And he said to us, we've started with a really small fleet of electric vehicles, but we want Electrify expanded to every fleet that we have, hundreds of school buses, maintenance trucks, everything. And I think it was the passion and conviction that this early customer had that got us really excited about leading that investment. And so we ended up leading that seed round in December of 2019. The company, kind of went into COVID. Everything was a question mark about what would happen in the space. Would people actually care about climate tech, electrification? Would there be money for it? And then, what we saw during COVID was this massive acceleration in the electrification trend, whether it be around consumer preferences, whether it be the federal government announcing that the whole federal fleet would be electrified by 2035. And I think those tailwinds gave a lot of momentum to electrify. They actually ended up being acquired in June of this past year by Ford to build out Ford's commercial electrification efforts. So Electrify now serves as the backbone for many of those products, including the Ford F-150, the electric version, obviously. And so I think that was a really cool story. It was obviously a very quick turnaround from, our initial investment in late 2019 to their acquisition in mid 2021. But it really showed how quickly a company can grow and scale, especially with the right leadership. And I think it
How
also
much
showed,
how
okay,
much money had gone into that company before the acquisition?
just their seed round.
Just that $300,000.
No, the seed round was $3.5 million.
$3.5 million, okay. And how much did they get acquired for?
It's not public information, but I think everyone was extremely happy, including the founders, investors, and employees. So it was a really great outcome for everyone.
Oh, very good, excellent. We are actually big believers in, small capital efficient funding in companies and then relatively early acquisitions. I think that's a fine way of building companies, and for entrepreneurs, it's often very expensive to build the entire sales channel, whereas you could go to market through a larger company's channel and you can get an early exit, and we're perfectly fine with that strategy, and we're seeing more and more of that.
Yeah, I think for us, we don't push our companies toward an early exit. I think we want our companies to really focus on growing big, massive, kind of generation defining companies. But I do think that there can be opportunities along the way that are really favorable and, can enhance the outcomes of some of these companies. And certainly Electrify was a great example of that. But one thing that I would say to your point on capital efficiency is I really do think that's undervalued in today's narrative and dialogue. The capital efficiency is huge. I mean, just because you can raise a massive seed or Series A round doesn't mean that's necessarily in the best interest of the founders, the employees, the investors, ultimately. I think people need to be circumspect around what they want to raise, what types of outcomes that they can have, and what they're shooting for. And the Electrify story is a great example of, you can be extremely capital efficient in a space where, frankly, a lot of folks have raised so much money, and you can, generate incredible outcomes for founders and employees and investors.
Yeah. And I think the narrative in the media is, oh, how much money have you raised? And the maximum focus and the maximum coverage goes to the people raising the maximum money. And that is a flawed way of valuing companies or evaluating companies. I think there are a lot of great innovation, great companies that are being built that are being done in a capital efficient way. And as such, they have a lot more options. The exit options are larger, and they're not so dependent on constant infusion of capital to sustain themselves. And I think ultimately these are healthy business building practices.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So just to quickly comment on that, Sarmana,
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly, and we oftentimes call those vanity metrics. And when I say vanity, I mean, look, capital raised and your valuation are extremely important barometers of your business, but they're not the only ones. They're the ones that tend to get the most coverage in the media, and so people flock to that. But what really is important and impressive is customers, revenue, growth. I mean, all of these metrics that oftentimes, I think companies hold closer to the vest. And so, if you can go from bootstrapping your company to $1 million in revenue, that's an incredible achievement. And it's very, very hard to do. But that's not what gets covered in TechCrunch. And so I think people don't think about that and value that as much. Whereas, really the strongest validator of your business truly is, your customers loving you and being willing to pay and use your service.
1Mby1M is probably the only media platform that covers systematically bootstrapped companies. And we have thousands of case studies of successful entrepreneurs that we have covered. And we've never asked anybody who has pitched us how much money you've raised. We've asked, have you reached $5 million in revenue? For us to do an entrepreneur journey story, we want to see you have reached $5 million in revenue. If you have not raised a penny of capital, no problem.
It's very impressive.
So anyway, let's do another example of something else that you've invested in and that, reflects a different trend perhaps in the
Yeah,
smart
absolutely.
city world.
Yeah, so the example I gave around electrify is really speaks to our values. I think one around the importance of climate tech and electrification, energy and sustainability, all of these areas that we're very passionate about. I could give another example in another vertical. We led the seed round in, I want to say it was July 2020, in a company called Jeeves. And Jeeves is essentially providing corporate credit to small and medium-sized businesses around the globe. And what they're allowing these small and medium-sized businesses to do is operate across borders in multiple currencies. So you may be a company in Mexico, you may have vendors in Colombia, you may have employees in Canada. They make it really easy to provide credit to all of those areas, and reconcile the expenses, and kind of cash management across all of those areas. So if you're, a startup listening to this and you operate internationally, I would encourage you to check them out. We invested in Jeeves in mid 2020, and at the time they were really a great example of a company where they had very early traction. The two founders had spent time kind of building the infrastructure for global banking. It's something that's very challenging to do, especially in multiple countries. And then they started by offering their services to kind of a handful of customers. And we did the customer references, and we were blown away by their early kind of enthusiasm for the product. One of the companies, they had been live at that point for a month. They said, we've used Jeeves for this last month, and they've made our lives so much easier. We've moved 80% of our spending through the Jeeves platform. And that was in 1 month. And we were just really captivated by that story and narrative. And, I think what we saw in that early momentum was these guys can execute, they can really grow and scale, and, they have done that so far. So, we invested in that seed about a year and a half ago. They're, they most recently announced that they raised a Series B led by CRV and Andreessen, and they've continued to kind of grow and scale. They're now available in 24 countries across the globe. They serve a variety of businesses, whether it be growing startups or other small and medium-sized businesses. And we're just really excited about them. I think I mentioned part of our thesis is really looking at the economic vitality of cities and solutions that can really help, I think, vitalize that. And I think that's exactly what Jeeves is doing.
So that sounds like that's a regular fintech investment, not a smart city or urban innovation investment, right?
Yeah, it's a fintech investment, but as I mentioned, we don't do just smart cities. We also like to look at the livability and economic vitality of cities. And so certainly one of the things that we think about in economic vitality is supporting of the support of small and medium-sized businesses. And they have done that in a really robust way, which we're very excited about.
Very good. All right. So is there anything else that you want to share about the work that you're doing that entrepreneurs should know in considering to work with you?
Yeah, I think I would just say we'd love to hear more about your business. You can feel free to reach out to me, Julie at urbaninnovationfund.com. And we'd love to learn more. So would love to hear all about your businesses.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks for participating.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Folks, we're going to switch to the entrepreneur pitch session. Remember, this is a safe working session. You don't need to be nervous. You don't need to be defensive. We are on your side. And if you disagree with my feedback, that's okay. It's your business. You do what you want with it. We are going to start with IdeaMySpace. Sidhartha Domathoti is the entrepreneur. I believe somebody else is pitching this. Kiran is pitching, okay? Please, Kiran, would you unmute your line and start your pitch?
How are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, hi, I'm there. Shona.
Hello, Sidhartha. Go ahead.
Actually, Sidhartha is a little stuck with his work, so I'm Kiran, who's pitching instead of him.
Okay, Kiran, go ahead then.
Yeah, I am actually one of the directors and the chief architect for this company named IdeaMySpace. Can you go to the next slide? So I'll give you a brief introduction what IdeaMySpace is first. Okay, in IdeaMySpace, we are trying to figure out architectural industry, which is much complicated when you have to design your home with interiors and custom furniture. So with IdeaMySpace, we are getting all the things at one platform. So we're simplifying architectural industry by merging all the things like planning, designing your interiors as well as customized furniture at one stop. So there are 4 different stages when you start designing your home. Basically, if it's maybe a planning, construction process or an interior process. Stage 1 is you have to get your requirements, designing, and then planning. Whereas in interiors, it goes the same. You have to give us your requirements. You have to go to an architect or interior designer, give your ideas. What are your exactly what are your needs? What is the space you're utilizing for? And then in the second stage, what happens is generally in architectural or interior companies, what people do is they just show you pictures, reference pictures, or maybe just show you the 3D images, what they did for you. But in IdeaMySpace, we have an exclusive virtual experience center where you can experience your designs beforehand in an interactive desk, which is called iDesk. So beforehand, even before even before executing on the site, you know what is getting done. And in the third stage, after your designs, everything are finalized, we get it executed on the site also. We have a team, so we get it executed for you. And lastly, it comes like customized furniture, because every house has a specific requirement when it comes to furniture. So we give you what your requirement is. So can you please go to the next slide? So in architectural industry, the major problems what we are facing is when you have to meet an architect, you have to take an appointment. It is very time consuming and your appointments, and then you have to give your requirements, explain, show the site, everything. So whereas in IdeaMySpace, we are giving everything in a single digital platform. And the second problem which we are facing is, whereas it comes to interiors, it's an expensive and time-consuming affair, because there's so many middlemen involved, and there's so many interior designers who are not even qualified. So you don't know which one to approach exactly. And third problem, people can't experience fully finished end product beforehand, and middlemen all over the place. Next slide, please. So how are we solving all of these problems is, firstly, for the planning and everything, we have created a digital platform where you can just put up your requirements according to your, if it's like residential or commercial, you can put up your requirements and search. There are like n number of plans which will be displayed instantly. So you can just purchase there and send us to IdeaMySpace for customization. If there are any changes you want to be done, it will be done in a couple of hours and we'll send it back to you. And also the second major problem is pricing. Whenever you go to an architect, he'll charge you very expensively, like 10% budget project or maybe even more. So here we are just giving plans for a very, very affordable economical range pricing. So it starts with like 15,000 per housing plan. And also with our virtual experience center, we try to show the end product beforehand. So you know exactly what is going on, where and when. And also, as I told you, it's like one-stop solution for everything from your starting needs to end need. Next slide, please. So this is our first product, which I was talking about. It's our digital platform. As you can see a glimpse, there are like n number of property details. It's like villas, bungalows, and apartment flats, anything, whatever you're thinking of. You can just enter in the search button. There are like n number of plans coming on. You can even search according to east facing, west facing, north facing, and your area requirements, like 200 SFT to 300 SFT, whatever requirements you put in, you will have your n number of plans. You can just select from the pre-made plans and then just buy and send it to us if you need any customizations or no need. And then we'll help you if you need execution. We will help you with the execution on the site as well. Next slide, please. This is again a glimpse of our website for your plans. And this is the unique product which I was talking about for interactive display. This is the only product which we have in India. So in this, what happens is once you can just upload your 2D plan. While moving on the desk, you can actually look at the 3D also. So it's like walkway, but they're like more VR systems, not AR systems. So what happens is VR, most of the people are not comfortable looking. So this is like interactive display, and you can move your cursor wherever you want to, and you can look at each and every corner as well as electrical points and your duct spaces. Everything is clear. And the best part about this is, just 1 second, if you can go back to the last slide. Yeah. The best part about this is you don't have to have an expensive or a high-end system for working in this. You can just log in from anywhere in the world. Just because this works on cloud, you can just log in, design, and show it to the client anywhere. Any device, it may be an iPad, laptop, or anything. You don't require a high-end system like they use for other softwares like SketchUp and V-Ray, anything. Next slide, please. And this is one of our factories where we make custom furniture for the client. We have efficient workers going on. We design according to clients' requirements, heights, cushioning, depth of the sofa or anything. Or if you want a home office, we can, customize each and every chair, sofa, your desk, your storage spaces, everything. So this is going on in our factory. So everything is customized and according to your space requirements. Next slide, please. So when we come to annual statistics, recent statistics says that we have 16 million e-retail market in India right now, which is 80%. And our target is to...
hang on 1 second. Yeah. E-retail market, you're talking about e-commerce in general or e-commerce specifically for architecture and interiors?
Only specifically for architectural and interiors.
I see. Okay.
Our first target is to service major cities in South India, so which will be like Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore. Yeah. So that is 10% of the market. So in the first year, our target is to hit at least 2 to 3% of the target. And also, according to statistics, it is believed that India market is expected to reserve 61 billion by end of 2023. So it's a very huge market. Even if we hit 1% of our target, it's like huge profit for us. So how do we achieve this? We have made 3 business models to make profits. So first one is sale and customization of plans, as we have put a digital platform. And the second model will be we have our virtual experience center, which is completely unique. No one in India has it right now. So we'll be planning to give it as franchise model in different cities that other architects can utilize it and show it to the clients. And our third major profit will be modular interiors and custom furniture. Interior market right now is very huge. People mostly import it from other countries like China, Italy, and Turkey because our standard of furniture is very basic. And we don't have very skilled labor too. That is the main reason we wanted to focus customized furniture in India. Next slide, please. This is just a small glimpse of our unit economics, how it works and the numbers. I'll give you a small brief. So when it comes to complete home for designing as well as interiors and your furniture sale, if the minimum ticket size of a project is 5,30,000 Indian rupees, our material expenditure and resource, everything is costing us 4,11,000. So our profit here is 20 to 25% in between for one single project, even for a least minimum ticket size. So generally what happens is even if you take for interiors, the minimum ticket size nowadays for middle class families, 10 lakhs rupees per project. So this is the minimum of minimum. So we are in this also, we are making a profit of 20 to 25%. Next slide, please. This is a brief about our workforce. We have 200 plus workers right now, including our carpenters, factory laborers, employees, everything. And our company, we have established and have an experience of 12 years. Total built up areas, what we have worked right till now is more than 550,000 SFT. And we have worked more than 100 projects globally, nationally also, as well as in different sectors like residential and commercial, hotels, health centers, educational buildings, etc. And right now in the market, we have like 2 to 3 companies which are like competition for us. So what are the advantages with IMS are? We are first in the market with interactive virtual experience. All our 3D renders and 3D pictures, whatever you see, are like very fast and not expensive. We are giving it in a very economical and affordable place. And second is, when it comes to planning of your house, it's very affordable. Generally, an architect charges you like 10%, 7 to 10% of the project budget, whereas we are doing it not even 1%. It's very affordable and economical and very easy. Just you put your requirements, your plans are ready, and you can just download and get it to your contractor, and the work is done. And it's very easy to use because everything is digital in nowadays. You don't have to waste your time going to an architect, taking appointment and everything. You can just surf online and get your things done. And this is like one-stop solution for your complete house needs. You don't have to meet an architect first, interior designer, and a furniture shop owner, and then get it customized. So we are dealing everything at one place. So this is a little competitive analysis what we have done with the other 3 companies which are right now in the market. The first one is LiveSpace, and the second one is HomeLane, and third one is Design Cave. LiveSpace is heard more right now, but what are the competitive advantages is they don't have an AR/VR technology which we have, and they're not giving more than 10 years of warranty for any products. They're giving 15 years of guarantee and warranties. And third is they're not doing any architectural planning and designing. We deal with construction, architectural planning and designing, as well as on-site executions. These 3 companies don't deal with civil and structural works. We have a team of civil and structural works who guide through structural drawings and on-site executions. And these people don't give an end-to-end solution on the side. They have like middlemen and then other companies working under subcontractors. Whereas IMS, we deal completely ourselves from start to end. And this is a glimpse of our team. We are a team of 4 members.
So you have been in business for quite a while, it seems. And I guess my question is, you're building houses and you're doing interiors and you're building furniture and so forth. How big is this company revenue-wise? How much do you do from an annual turnover basis?
Actually, it was pretty huge before COVID because we had a minimum ticket size of 1 crore to 1.4 and 1.5 crore per project before COVID. But because we used to deal internationally too. But now because of COVID, everything is closed. We are only working nationally. And whereas when it comes to nationally, the project budgets are little less. It is like below 50 lakhs. So right now the turnover of the company is little bit less, but before it was huge.
What is huge? Huge is not a number. I want a number.
Just give me 1 second. I'll just hand it over to one of my partners. So he'll let you know all the numbers. If you're okay with that.
Sure. So while you guys are figuring out the numbers, I will start giving you some feedback. From an investor standpoint, the investor world that I work with is the technology investor world. There are too many things going on here. This is more a construction company. This is not going to be treated as a tech company. This is going to be treated as a construction company, manufacturing company. This is not to say that you cannot build a company, a large company on that, but it's a different it's a different kind of company, and the traditional Indian tech funders are not going to consider this as a tech investment. So unless I spend some time working with you to position this as a tech investment and develop strategy on how you can really position this as a tech investment, this company is not something, as it stands, I cannot get this funded from our network.
Just 1 second. Actually, I wanted to clear because here we are developing a technology which is called IDES. So generally what happens in architectural industry is we have like multiple software going on for your 3D renders, which is called SketchUp. You have V-Ray, you have 3ds Max and everything. So it for a single render, it takes you more than 24 hours for one picture to render. Whereas we are launching a new technology called AR/VR technology, which is called iDesk. Whereas in that you can get your home done in like 1 hour, maybe mostly 1 hour, and your renders are done in 1 minute, which are like 8K renders. So that is one technology
Yeah,
we
but
are
that's
putting
not
in.
what you're selling. You're not selling that technology. If you were building a technology and selling that technology, that is a different business plan than what you're selling here.
That is a future plan. In expanding, we would like, that is completely cloud-based. So we'll put up in online, and then we'll give you like login IDs, and anyone can access that. So we are planning to sell that in future, not right away, but then it will be like huge, because generally what happens in any architectural company.
Investors don't fund like this. This is not how funding happens in the technology industry. You're going to need to learn. Somebody in your company who is going to be responsible for fundraising is going to need to learn how technology industry funding happens, and you have to morph your strategy so that you can cater to that, or you raise funds from some other source, which is not technology industry funding. You can raise different kinds of funding. You can raise debt financing, you can raise other kinds of bank financing, but it's not the traditional technology equity financing is not going to be applicable to the business the way you have it set up. Okay? And if you want more help in figuring out all these things, you're welcome to stick around. I will explain how to use 1Mby1M later on in the program. Let me first work with the next entrepreneur, and then you can ask more questions. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Very welcome. Chintesh, you are next.
Okay, thanks, Rana. Yeah, thanks a lot for giving us an opportunity to talk about our company. So you can move on to the next slide, and then I will talk about us. Yeah, so we started this as a e-commerce based company. Really, we are providing the services to the non-resident Indians at this stage who are always looking for some work to be done when they are away from the home. As you know, it's like US is a country of immigrants, and a lot of people, not only in US but other countries, are settled, and whenever they need some help, right? Initially, when you just migrate, yes, you have someone in family or friends who can help you out. But as you start spending more and more time, because your parents are moved out to another city or your friends are not there, and you're getting some work done, like if you're home to rent out or you need some specific documents, you have some financial investment and you want some help with that. We as an NRI, myself being in US for about 12 years, we used to struggle a lot, and then we thought, why not to start a company which has a kind of which provides this kind of services to the people who are not physically present, right? So you have the people who are outside India, and then there are different domains where they may need those services, like you have educational services like transcripts if you want to study in US, or if you need some.
Chintesh,
yeah.
First and foremost, your pitch needs to be changed. This is kind of, so as a starting point, this slide should not be there as your second slide. It's impossible to read. First and foremost, you should not put this much text on a slide. What are we talking about? To go back to this slide, and you have in the third bullet, you have we provide services in following domains: educational documentation, immigration documentation, financial services. What I'm looking for at this point, now you've told me that this is what you provide. I'm looking for use cases. What are we talking about? So the next thing you do is a use case of an NRI looking for something. What is that service? What are these? What is an example of an educational documentation service that you provide?
Yeah, so if you want to take admission in the US, like you always require the transcripts, or whether you're studying in English, what we call medium of instructions, right? So those kind of validation has to be done by the universities, right, before they take you in, right? So these documents, you need to procure it from the universities, send it to the colleges or to WES, right? And then let's say you want to like, so this is one example of the documentation. Another example is like you want to get married in US and you need like a single status certificate that you are not married and you affirm that that marriage is not registered anywhere in the world, right? So you need to go back to India and get that documentation done, right, from the government, right? And then let's say talk about you want to kind of apply for your green card or citizenship, like then you need to kind of get a very basic document called birth certificate or what we call non-obligatory birth certificate. So those kind of services, right? So there are a lot of services. Specifically, we are focusing more on the documentation right now on the immigration segment. But eventually, our plan is also to focus on an additional services. So why did we get into this? Like, it's not that there are not people who are providing these services. Like, if you can always Google it, you can get normal vendors and you can always talk to them. But then in many cases, like those vendors are not really reliable. They do not have the proper kind of a customer service or the way to take your payment. So right, so we are trying to work like as an aggregator, right, where we kind of take the orders from the customers and then we provide them the updates. So what kind of documentation is required or what information is required, and then eventually we have our own network of this local agent whom we have already hired, right? And then we coordinate with them. We already have pre-negotiated rates with them, right? That how much that service can be really costing. But if you go as an individual customer, definitely they're going to charge you a good amount of money. But when it comes to our company, we are like a more of a bulk buyer or aggregator, right? So they will always give we are like a more of a platinum customers for them, right? So definitely we get a more preference when it comes to as a NRI.
Okay, so
yeah.
So the pitch needs a lot of work. This is the kind of slide that should be at the very beginning. Right after your first slide, you should say that we have 2,000 plus happy clients, 2.45 crore annual revenue, working with all these cities, countries, etc. Because this is proof that you have a business. It is not a concept, that you have a business and you have, because you have a business, that means you have data. There is, stuff going on. You need to now figure out how to grow the company, etc., etc. But your first thing should be that this is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it. But all the missing pieces are what is the business model. So 2.5 crore annual revenue, doing what? This 350 plus, 2,000 plus happy clients have paid you how much money for the kinds of transactions that they have done with you? How many transactions? What is the business model that you are using?
Yeah, so if you can go back to the third slide, that's where I would like to tell you about the business model. So can you please go back to the first slide, that not the earlier one? Yeah, the before that as well. Sorry. Yeah, so here the way we do it is like we talk to the customers, or those customers comes to us, right? They place an order on our website. Then we go back to our local agents, right? We have developed a special software on the website. It's an e-commerce website where they can place an order. and then they can upload the documents, we can view it, we can message to them, then our local agent can view those documents, provide us a code, then we go back to the customers, right? And then get some interim.
So you have a string of local agents who are actually going to do the work, and you are the intermediary who's kind of facilitating that marketplace.
Yes, so just to give an idea, we are like an Uber or like a Lyft here, like who is more like
marketplace. You're a marketplace. So we're very familiar with how to build two-sided marketplaces. What is the number that you're quoting here? That's why I'm asking you about the business model. 2.5 crore, is it annual revenue or is it gross merchandise, gross transaction value?
It's a 2.0 crore annual revenue from the business which we have done in the last year right now. So for each order, the cost differs, like as you know, like it's a kind of more of a service industry, right? There is not a kind of a fixed kind of a price, right? Depends on the complexity of the documents.
No, not answering my question. Please listen to this question very, very carefully. The traditional two-sided marketplace business model is that you have buyers on one side and sellers on the other side. In this case, you have these service providers who are the sellers, and you have these NRIs who are the buyers. You're sitting in the middle. Typically, two-sided marketplaces, the revenue is a commission of the projects that get done. So yes, you have all different kinds of different sizes of projects and different kinds of price points, etc. What is the commission that you take from each of these projects?
So our commission in terms of Indian rupees normally may vary between 3,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees per order. Okay, so
but what is the percentage? Is it a 10%, 15%,
15 to 20% is our margin on each of the orders, and the order side
is your commission. It's not margin, that is your revenue. 2.5 crore. Is that the commission revenue or is it the total gross merchandise value?
It's a total growth. Our internal, in terms of commission or margin, it is around right now for the last year was around 40 lakhs. So around, I would say around 30%. Yeah.
So in two-sided marketplaces, the revenue is the commission. It is you're reporting as at 2.5 crore annual revenue. It is not 2.5 crore annual revenue. 40 lakhs is your annual revenue.
Okay, got it.
But that's fine. That's fine. Two-sided marketplaces, we know a lot about how to build two-sided marketplaces. So the good news is you already have a business running. You already have this business growing. You have validated your business. I am very sure we can help you grow this business. No problem.
Yeah, Miss, our current struggle is like we know there is a big market out there, and we know there are local agents who can with whom we can work. But we have a team of around 10 right now with whom we are working. Most of them are kind of coordinating and talking to clients, talking to service providers. But then we see there is not a single player, right, who is dominating this market, neither in India or outside, right, where you can just go and say, oh, I need this specific service, can you help me out? And that's where we are thinking there is a way we can build a good brand for our company, a good customer service, and develop this local agents network. There's a big market out there, fragmented.
I think you've already proved that you can build a business. So it's a matter of scaling that business, and we can definitely help.
And that's where we're struggling, Sharma, right? How to scale it up, how to spend money on SEOs, how to advertise us, and then hiring the right people. Like that's where we need some help. Yeah.
Okay, let me explain to you, to all of you, how to use 1Mby1M, and you can decide whether if you want to work with us, we can help you address these issues. So everything, in terms of resources, everything is on 1Mby1M.com. You can sign up for any of our programs through 1Mby1M.com. There's a blog. Just by following the blog, you'll learn a lot. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is a good starting point. These strategy roundtables happen every week. And our full acceleration program, if you want ongoing weekly mentoring and interactive work with your project, I recommend that you join the premium program. And that is a $1,000 annual membership fee program. And you're going to have to do a lot of studying, learning methodology, and then going and doing what you need to do very specifically on specific things that we will agree on in those sessions. We do have a very good digital curriculum that a lot of people are using to learn learn what they need to learn. We do help you with financing. We work with a large network of investors, and we do help you with financing, but you have to be ready for financing for us to introduce you to those investors. Neither of you who have pitched today are ready for financing yet. So we do work with you on a sustained basis to get you ready for financing if that is the goal that you're going after. And if you decide that, or if the business warrants that you build a bootstrap business, we'll help you with that as well. So that's it. The 1Mby1M self-assessment on our website helps you access due diligence questions. Investors ask you certain questions, and you're going to have to answer these questions. There's a bootstrapping course, free bootstrapping course, just under 1 hour on our blog. So go take a look at that, and it's a very good starting point to understand our strategy, our philosophy, how we work. There's a ton of educational material that we have released on Udemy. So you're very welcome to go, look at those courses and see if you want to start your learning on Udemy, and you can acquire courses on Udemy for, $10 to $15. Udemy is offering 70 to 85% discount on the courses. So they really bring the prices down such that you can access a lot of teaching material, learning material through Udemy as well. You can also access our entire curriculum for $99 a month on our website. So just go to 1Mby1M Basic, sign up, and you can start learning there as well. So go to the website, dig around, look at Premium Program Basic, and learn what we offer, how we do what we do. There's lots of messages, video FAQs, etc. The curriculum is described in great detail. We are a case study-based program. Everything we do is done in case studies. So you're going to need to, kind of adjust to that mode of learning where we'll try to find relevant case studies through the curriculum so that you can learn from and just figure out how 1M works and how to learn from that. Investor introduction policy is also available on the website. Our mantra is do not go to investors as beggars, go as kings. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. Bootstrap first, raise money later is how we operate. That is all. In March, we have 3 more free roundtables, and every week we have premium roundtables. So if you're in the premium program, you can come as many times as you want. We are ready for Q&A. So if you have more questions about the program or in general, please feel free to go ahead and ask your questions. Irina Patterson is your contact. If you have, after this session, if you have questions about the program, you're very welcome to reach out to her, irina@1mby1m.com. Anybody? Questions? I don't see any hands up. Questions? Your computer audio is also going to work, by the way. If you want to ask questions through your computer audio, you can. Anybody? All right. If I don't have any questions, then I'm going to wrap up the session today, and we will see you next week. Thank you for coming. Bye, everybody.